So, do a little time travel?
To 1922.
1922 was a very bad year.
Stephen King's.
The film, however, came out in 2017.
Spins us a yarn.
Directed by Zak Hilditch, written by Stephen King and Zak Hilditch, stars Thomas Jane, Molly Parker, and Dylan Schmid. 1 hour, 42 minutes. And normally we have a link in the show notes to our affiliate links for Amazon. And of course, if you ever want to buy any of these movies or pick up any of these movies, click on our links. We get a little bit of percentage on that. So, yeah, why not? Give us a little percentage if you're buying the movie anyway. Mm-hmm. This one, however, you cannot buy at Amazon. This is Netflix
it's
only.
Netflix
It's
right
a
now.
Netflix original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're keeping it.
Yeah.
But we link to the book.
Link to the book,
Yeah,
right.
check that out. See
If
how
you
it
don't know where
compares.
Netflix is, look for it. Netflix.com.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody's heard of that.
Yeah.
Wilfred James is in room 209 of the hotel. He listens to a noise outside the room, and then he sits down at the desk and starts writing his confession.
And this is actually some years later. He's flashing back to 1922 when the events
Here's
happened.
Scratching at the wall as credits roll.
Mm-hmm.
We go back in time and see his wife, Arlette, who inherited 100 acres, and Wilfred had 80 of his own. Between the two of them, they expect to provide very well for their son, Henry James.
Well, Wilfred does. He wants the farm to last forever. Arlette's not so convinced.
You think Henry James is a coincidence, or this has something to do with the turn of the screw?
I didn't get that reference at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that uncommon of a name.
Yeah.
Arlette wants to sell the farm, take the money, and move to Omaha or St. Louis.
And divorce Wilfred.
And divorce Will.
Yeah.
Well, not at this point necessarily. She just wants she wants the whole family to go in the beginning. Later on, she wants a divorce.
It doesn't take long at all, though.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Why does it not take
Yeah,
long?
that's right,
Because
though,
Will
initially.
says
Yeah.
cities are for fools. He's got this thing where he talks through his clenched teeth through the entire movie.
You can understand him, though.
Mostly.
And it doesn't sound like that.
It doesn't sound like that.
It doesn't sound like that.
It's worse.
It is not.
I really kind of wish we had watched it with the subtitles turned on.
Yeah, it was good.
Will offers to buy the land from her, but she laughs at him. She offers to sell her portion of the land and split the money in a divorce. Will doesn't like that because she also wants to take James with her. Will admits that he's come to hate her. They have numerous fights over the land and what will happen to it. Will hatches a plan with his son Henry. Will gives in and says he'll give in and move to town. It's all right. We'll sell the land. We'll move to town.
That's what he tells her.
Yeah. The three of them then go out. The three of them then celebrate. She gets really drunk. Bad move.
Mm-hmm.
Will and Henry sneak into her room that night after she passes out. She struggles, but the two of them wrestle her down and cut her throat.
And it is the most amateur murder ever.
Yeah, it's
and messy and bloody.
Messy and bloody and poorly done. That's not how you... Henry goes in with his burlap sack, tries to put it over her head. Well, Will gets in there and cuts her with a knife. And, of course, she wakes up with the bag over her head and fights back. And that's not how you do it.
Stabbing and cutting and
Not how you do it at all.
Well, Wilfred does the actual murdering, but Henry was definitely in on it.
In on it enough to take some blame.
Yeah. And I like this line that murder is sin, murder is damnation, but murder is also work. Because they have a hell of a mess to clean up, to cover it up.
A lot of cleaning afterwards.
Yeah.
Afterwards, they dump her body in an old well where she's partially eaten by rats. One of the better scenes of the movie is the rats.
Ew.
They then, to cover up the body, they drop a cow on top of her. And use that as cover as to why they had to fill in the well. Mm-hmm. Which I thought was pretty good thinking.
Which I'm glad.
First thing they're going to do is dig up the well, but there's a dead cow in it. And it's a really obvious dead cow.
And at first I was thinking that's the lamest way to dispose of that body, because he dumps it in at night, and then the next morning he lifts the lid, and it's like the body's right there down there.
Yeah, just look down in there and see her. It's not that deep of a well.
And it would be smelling, and like, what? This isn't going to cover or fool anybody. But yeah, he has a plan.
Yeah, they pack up a bunch of her stuff, as much stuff as she could carry in a suitcase. And the story is she left them and walked off in the night.
And they do that before the cow. They throw in the suitcase in with the body. So literally, that stuff is gone.
The next day, the buyer's lawyer shows up, and Will tells him to get lost. They don't want to sell. she's already started the process of selling the land. And now Wilf says, nope, not going to do it.
So that's a little suspicious to
Yeah.
him, and he calls the sheriff, and the sheriff comes a calling.
Mm-hmm. And the sheriff goes through the house, and he accepts their story. He doesn't even look at the half-buried dead cow that they spent so much time working on.
The only thing that did you notice that they almost screwed up on? He forgot her shoes. Her shoes were still under the bed, and the sheriff's like, she wouldn't walk off barefoot.
Well, he must have took her other shoes.
Yeah, Wilfred quick comes up with, they must have took the shoes that aren't here then. Making it sound like, duh, sheriff.
You can have two pairs of shoes.
Yeah, but he did screw up. It was a moment of, oh shit, he forgot a detail.
But the sheriff buys it, and it looks like the perfect crime. That night, they find one of their cows being chewed on by a carnivorous rat. Rats had never been a problem before he saw them on Arlette.
Mm-hmm.
No rats around here, and now there are.
Now there are. Yeah.
James comes home and explains that he's gotten his girlfriend pregnant. He and Will fight about it. The girl's father wants $75 to send the daughter away to have the baby.
It actually costs $300 for this Catholic school where she'll be boarded and have the kid and give it away and then come back. And he settles on, your portion, you better come up with at least 75.
Except he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
He goes to the bank to get a loan for the money, but while he's there, his son leaves with the girlfriend. They don't want to give the baby away.
Wants the girl.
He says if Will goes looking for him, Henry will tell everything to the police. And about this point, I'm thinking, Wilf's going to have to kill Henry to keep this secret.
That's what I was thinking. I was expecting it to go that way earlier.
Yeah.
That he'd have
And
to
maybe
kill
the
kid
girlfriend,
and then kill
too.
the girl and kill the neighbor and kill
It's not what
to
happens.
cover it up. Yeah.
That night,
It's not
he
how it
dreams of rats. The sheriff comes around the next day and says Henry is suspected of robbing a store in the neighboring town. Later on, Will is bitten by a rat in the closet of the house. Bites him like right here.
Ow. That's a graphic owie scene.
Months pass, and the hand gets badly infected. There's a really good scene where he tries to start the car with only one good hand. Since it's 1922, he's got to deal with one of those crank starters.
And it's the dead of winter.
And he just can't do it.
Yeah.
So he stays there with his rotten hand, and it gets worse.
And a hole in the roof, and he can't repair the house. And he's have you gotten to the drinking yet?
No, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Will starts drinking heavily and hallucinating.
Well, he takes some patent medicine.
Yeah, some
that
medicine
his wife had too. So he's tripping on that. 1922 pain reliever over the counter could have been heroin or opium or all kinds of codeine.
things. Yeah.
And, on top of alcohol.
So he's under some kind of influence and falls down the steps into the basement. He sees Arlette and a bunch of rats come down the steps after him. And later on he says, when she gets to the bottom of the steps, she whispered secrets to me that only a dead woman could know. Actually, he says, she whispered secrets to me that only a dead woman could know. And she tells him through flashbacks. She's giving him words, but we see all this. She tells him how Henry and his girlfriend are out robbing banks and stealing cars. The girl is shot in the back and dies in an abandoned farmhouse. Henry then shoots himself in grief. The rats get him before the body is found. And, of course, later on, the sheriff comes by and he says, yeah, all that really happened.
So it wasn't just a drug-addled hallucination.
The things that only a dead woman could know.
Yeah.
She told him what was really happening.
Yeah, and bank robbery. He goes to see the teller where Henry robbed the bank.
A little later.
Yeah, a little later. Yeah.
Will finally gets a ride to the doctor, who amputates his hand. Henry's body comes back, and Will has to identify the body, which is a mess.
Mm-hmm.
He sees Arlette and the rats at the funeral. Rats are now everywhere he goes. His house and barn are falling apart. His friend won't buy the land when he decides to sell it, and his cow gets sick and he has to shoot her.
Like a country song. Even my cow died.
Even the cow got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, he sells the farm, gives in, and does what he's told.
Mm-hmm.
He moves to Omaha and gets a factory job, but he still sees rats everywhere. Okay, back to the present. Wolf finishes his confession letter in the hotel several years later. The door opens and Arlette, Henry, and the dead girlfriend comes in with hundreds of rats. In the end, we all get caught, he says. The end.
The end, pretty much. Yep. And leaves his note. Yeah.
So, really, other than the bit about him getting information that he shouldn't have known, there's no real proof that any supernatural happened here. He could
If
have
it
been
wasn't
hallucinating
for
or
that,
imagining the whole thing.
If it wasn't for that, it could have been entirely in his head. Guilt,
Yeah.
combination of extreme guilt and
Telltale heart kind of thing. He hears it
yeah.
in his head, nobody else does.
yeah. But it was at least some of it was supernatural.
Henry never sees the dead woman. The sheriff or nobody ever sees the
No,
dead woman
just
than
him.
him. So it's left to the viewer, I guess, to decide whether it's real or not. But I sort of get the impression from the movie that it is. It's real.
I think so. Yeah.
Thomas Jane must have taken classes at the Tom Hardy School of Acting, mumble talking through his gritted teeth to the point he's really hard to understand. Still, he's got the ability to be a pretty boy in one movie and a tough, scary, murderous farmer in the other, so at least he's flexible. He really does pull off the role very well.
He does.
Being
yeah.
both hateful and relatable at the same time. But those teeth, whoa. The gore shots are really good.
That really bothered you a lot, didn't it?
I know he can speak very clearly when he wants to. The gore shots are really good. There's a scene where Wolf looks down the well and sees the body down there with a rat inside her mouth. Very realistic and creepy. The movie overall is kind of slow and has a lot of build-up.
Don't let that stop you.
And the climax is a little bit of a letdown, but it's constantly building as it goes. And it's entertaining
very well
all the way
done,
through.
Yeah. The three, well, all the three main characters and all the supporting actors were all really excellent. Authentically, 1922, somebody really put a lot of work into making it all seem,
Yeah.
100 years ago, no cell phones.
That was almost 100 years ago.
Yeah,
Very cool.
yeah. All in all, thumbs up, definitely.
Yeah, thumbs up. Except for the mouth and the teeth and talking through his clenched teeth.
Even that part.
All right. I could do this all day, but I won't.